The funding for this video is provided by the amazing members of my Patreon. Also contributions from viewers like you. Thank you. Yeah, I started from PBS Kids. What you gonna do? Fight me? Anyway, roll the video. Do you ever look back on a song that you really liked when you were younger and then come to the conclusion that it's bad for the culture? Like, not even an exaggeration. It's literally that bad for society.
This song right here.
Listen, I am not putting on a full-on production when it comes to J.K. Ratchet's turf ass because she's just not worth the time and effort. And this video is just giving her way more attention that she should not be getting. And we really should be ignoring her at this point because it's obvious that she likes the negative attention. Like, let's be for real. But me making this is because I have noticed something strange when it comes to the subject of Harry Potter. And it's not with just Harry Potter, but it is a lot of other things that people grew up with and love so much to the point where they're a part of their identity. Trust me, I get it. I completely understand. I'm low-key about to make Miss Bellum a part of my identity. Look at the fucking wig on my head. Which leads to them not wanting to own up to the fact that what they liked has issues. But so much of everything I was obsessed with when I was little has problems, like Powerpuff Girls, Teen Titans 2003, Total Drama, The Cheetah Girls, Monster High, and the show that encouraged me to make my YouTube channel, iCarly. Ew. But I have talked about those things quite a bit on my channel, and I have an ass-numbingly long video about the Powerpuff Girls coming soon anyway. But I want to talk about something from my childhood that aged horribly in like the same realm of how Harry Potter aged horribly in certain ways. And that is a song. A song that I listened to so much that I still know all the words to it by heart to this day, unfortunately. And I did not become educated on why this song was an issue until I entered into college. So, let's go.
Come on, baby, take those daisies. Let's go to the daisy do so.
So, rap music. Let's talk about it. Rap music in general is gross when it comes to the subject of women of color overall. It's just women. To be honest, music in general is very much misogynistic because I hate when people want to bring up the debate about how rap music is extremely misogynistic because one, it is, but also two, rock music is just as well. Have y'all ever listened to The Police, the group? Whew. Okay, so I feel like I need to give some context to what I just said. A bunch of y'all most likely don't know who The Police is. Your mama might know who The Police is because I be finding out y'all mamas be watching me. Hey mama. But The Police are basically an English rock group that were very popular during the 80s. And the reason I know who they are is because I really do enjoy 80s music. And while they do have good songs to a certain extent, so much of their discography is about objectifying and being very possessive of women, as Every Breath You Take is about stalking, and Can't Stand Losing You is literally how he's like, I can't go on without you in my life. You have to stay. Like, they act as if they own women in their music, and it's disturbing, and it gets annoying to a certain extent where I can't listen to them too long. So that's The Police. If you want to look more into it, you can. Please do, because I want y'all to actually see this issue, because they're not the only group, white rock group, that has this issue. And while we tend to always want to talk about hip-hop is misogynistic, this and that and the third, I was like, no, let's talk about what the white rock people doing too, because they bad just as well. But a song I would use as an example would have to be Best on Earth by Russ. In the song, he says, face from the Middle East, ass from the West Indies. And for those of you guys who don't understand why that's an issue, it's colorism. He was being colorist. He's saying that he wants a woman of color with a big butt, but he doesn't want her to be dark and have bigger facial features. And if he did his research, he would know that dark-skinned women with bigger features live in the Middle East too. Anyways, let me tell you, a lot of these rappers don't be smart. But Fried Rice with G-Eazy was made when he was not really like famous like that. Like he was famous, but he wasn't like nearly as big as he is now, or even like during his peak a few years back, like pre-panoramic. But the name of the song is a problem alone. It's called Fried Rice. Like, that is so ghetto. Which we will get into why that song is a problem in a minute. And part of the reason so many people know what fried rice is in the first place is because they didn't find it because they were fans of G-Eazy. They found it through AMVs. Like, I'm not even joking. I found Fried Rice by G-Eazy through a Descendants AMV. Y'all, there's like honestly a list of songs that many people only know because they were constantly used in AMVs, and so many of them are problematic as hell. Like the Barbie Girl song, for example. Barbie Girl is disguised as like a cute and catchy song when it literally just like reduces Barbie, who is meant to be seen as like a feminist icon for girls to look up to, but then they just like reduced her down to like a ditzy sex symbol, which I'm not saying that sexual liberation is not empowering, but Barbie in the Barbie Girl song is completely different than actual Barbie. So I can clearly understand why the brand was upset with the song at that time period, because I know they have made amends and they like use the Barbie Girl song, like a different version of it, in their advertisements and whatever. But I get why they didn't like that song, because we were like, hey, this is not the kind of Barbie that we put out here. And now people are gonna associate Barbie with that meaning, and that's not her. But let's move back to Fried Rice by G-Eazy. As both Fried Rice and Barbie Girl are songs that are misogynistic as hell, Fried Rice is also straight up racist. Oh, it's not looking good already. But on top of the fact that this song samples the anthem by Orna, who is a French Vietnamese musician that sampled Chinese and Vietnamese records for this song. So let's go through the song and just like break it down to see what G-Eazy is saying. And I am gonna be rapping the song myself. I'm telling y'all, I listened to this shit so much in high school. I know it word for word, and I could give you the beat and everything. I'm about to give y'all a show. Let's go. These girls want to tie kid down and keep me around, but I will never change. I'm a dog, I'm a hound, but I tell them what they want to hear. They like how it sounds till I'm gone with the wind and I'm lost, never found. Okay, now this verse doesn't really bother me all that much, I'm gonna be completely honest, simply because first of all, it's not as bad as the rest of the song is, but he's just talking about how he's bad with relationships like 70% of the world. Let's continue. I met her at my show, then we smashed right after. We go for 3 rounds till she fall in love faster. The very next morning, I'm Casper in another city for a show somewhere getting plastered. Okay, here is just like basic hip hop culture stuff of like rappers not knowing how to set boundaries with their fans. And it's not even just rappers that do this, it's just a lot of famous people do this in general, especially with musicians, R&B musicians. Have y'all ever watched the Bobby Brown story? Do you even know who Bobby Brown and who he is in general? The reason why I brought this up is because it reminded me so much of this song and certain parts in it, because Bobby basically opened up about how he used to be nasty as hell with his fans. I'm gonna read you guys some of what he had to say from his book. Yeah, like I said, let's just make this pretty clear. I didn't write this. These are Bobby Brown's words. I'm just reading what he said. Okay. I was still so clueless. I didn't even use protection. It didn't even think to cross my mind at the time. But that changed real quick when people around us realized that we were starting to go down. I mean, we were becoming teen sex symbols with girls screaming at us everywhere we went. It was evident that we start taking advantage of the situation. They talked to us and quickly about the needs for us to be safe and protecting ourselves. Once we started, we couldn't get enough condoms on that damn bus. And we are quoting Bobby Brown again. Here we go. Hollywood stars, starlets, singers, dancers, groupies, regular girls, church girls, I screwed them all. I was with some of the most beautiful women in the world. Just imagine. The year I was the #1 album in the country, 1989, I was only 20. A 20-year-old who suddenly had millions in the bank and women climbing all over him. A 20-year-old who just a few years earlier had thought he was too dark and ugly. To mildly put it, I went butt fucking wild. My thinking was get as much as you can while you can. Also, I want to make it clear that there is a section in this book where he talks about going to Japan. And I'm sorry, I can't read enough more of Bobby Brown's writing out loud. Okay. I know this is his story to tell, but like it feels so weird me speaking it. So go read Every Little Step by Bobby Brown for yourself if you want to know the rest, because it's wild. So let's continue on with the G-Eazy song. This is the last section of this shit I'm gonna read because I'm telling y'all, white boy rap is like a different breed sometimes. What even is this shit? It's a disaster. To her, I'm a drug. I do it kind of dirt, but they still fall in love, and I don't understand it. Foreign chicks own me, and she speak another language like she from another planet. She struggle when I'm gone. It's hard when I leave. Being Ricky Peen, wear my heart on my sleeve, and she tell me that she love me, but it's hard to believe, cause I'm come, then I go, then I come, then I leave. Okay, first of all, he referred to Asian women as foreign. You don't do that. Because oftentimes people will say the word foreign as like another word for exotic, which is problematic. Want to know why? Exoticism is often to fetishize, and fetishization of the body is when you are not white is a huge issue. Racial microaggressions are evident everywhere from film, music videos, to porn. The word exotic to me embodies a lot of this. Exotification is a form of ethnic objectification. Women have been subjected to the watchful eye of men for years, but when women of color, it's a bit more problematic. We're objectified and othered all at the same time. It's like people look at you as a sex object, but a foreign one too, and objectifying that I'm different to you is the problem with calling me exotic. Asian women are typically seen as submissive, or over-sexualized, like how Latinas are often seen as fiercey, and black men and women are chocolate. People may obsess over Asian women's almond eyes and silky shiny black hair. They are often described as exotic and oriental. It is not politically correct, and it's definitely not okay. To tell someone they're exotic is basically defining them to being a very different, strange, or unusual in referring to animals and plants. People are not exotic and not to be sexualized or fetishized because of their body shapes, features, race, or skin color, and we are not here to be gawked at. It derives from the ideology that white is still the norm. To be anything else makes you uncommon or rare. So stop thinking that before you tell someone they are exotic. Instead, remember that they are human, they have their own identity, and most importantly, are not from a strange land. I'm from Worcester. And in the song, G-Eazy seems to have a bit of a fetish for Asian women, as he sees them as a bit of this dragon lady stereotype, which is bad. And let's just be honest, so many American men, not just white men, because I see a lot of black men tend to do this shit just as well, they have this issue of poking fun at Asian women and girls and just reducing them down to objects instead of people. Hi, editing me here. So I tried to do some digging to see how Orna felt about the song Fried Rice, and I kid you not, I can't find anything on it. Because usually when artists have their songs sampled, sometimes they would say like, oh, I like that, that was cool, it's whatever. But I can't find anything that he said about this song, especially when you think about the context of the song and how disrespectful it is towards Asian women, and Orna is Asian himself. So yeah, I don't want to make assumptions or anything like that, but I do find it kind of like questionable that he never said anything about this song. If this was from like the early 2010s, and to this day he still hasn't really said anything. I don't even really think he's acknowledged G-Eazy doing fried rice, but also it's just kind of frustrating because a lot of people just know it as fried rice, not knowing that that G-Eazy literally just took the song and rapped over it. They don't even know that this song isn't even his to begin with. And G-Eazy, and you wonder why you can't stream it? That's probably why, because Orna most likely didn't clear him for it. Who knows? It's just a bit of an observation I had. Let's get back into it. And oftentimes this leads to them being over-sexualized. And a show I think would have to be a good example of this. from time to time, not all the time, but it would have to be Hi Hi Puffy Ami Yumi. I love the show, trust me, but the treatment of Ami and Yumi in the series is a problem as they were being mistreated by their male manager often. Cass. Oh my gosh, Cass is literally one of the worst things about that series. Trust me, I love the show. I truly do. But it is so painfully obvious that it is straight white men that mostly took up the behind the scenes space for it. Like G-Eazy, who is a straight white man, the name of this song alone is an issue, as the song is about his fetish for Asian women. And for those of you guys who don't know, fried rice is a popular Chinese dish. I feel like y'all should know that shit. That's just basic food knowledge. Y'all, I'm flabbergasted. I honestly am flabbergasted because I didn't even realize how racist this song was until so long after I kept listening to it. When I realized what he was saying and what beat he sampled, and then when I realized the name of it, I was just like, how did you get away with that? And because of all that, I can attest that this song is racist. And because of what I do and what I study in school and what I'm working on to get my degree in, it's wrong of me to ignore this. Because when it comes to being a good ally, I'd say you need to be aware of why things are harmful to non-black people. And somebody had gotten mad at me for saying this, like they actually like cussed my ass out for this, but I do not tolerate anti-Asian sentiment. Nada. Especially how y'all be racist as hell towards Indian people. Because I remember I had got the meanest, nastiest message about how it is wrong of like, you know, hey, don't be mean to Indian people, because I had a teacher, I had a few South Asian teachers that worked at my school, and people were so nasty to them and mocking their accents and everything. And somebody had cussed me out for that. And I was just like, we don't do anti-Asian sentiment over here. But also when it comes to the subject of anti-Asian sentiment, it is something that I do not speak about too much because I don't want to feel like I'm overstepping my boundaries with this community, because it's not about me, but also there are just certain things that I can't ignore. That is why I, as a black woman, that is why so much of my content is about the portrayal of black girls and women in film and media in general. And while I do think it is important to talk about these issues, because you guys have hit me up and be like, hey, can you talk about this? Can you talk about that? And like, I am a guest in these communities, okay? I am not an Asian woman, and I don't want to feel as if I am speaking over one. But also, it's just basic human decency. Like, the film industry and writers in general just do not treat Asian women well at all. And within hip-hop, like with Fried Rice and G-Eazy, Asian women are strongly fetishized. And going back and watching a bunch of those like hip-hop and R&B music videos, you look at the women that these men would go after, and a lot of them are Asian and like Blasian women. Like, you see how men idolize Karrueche Tran and Chanel Iman and Kimora Lee Simmons. And because of the way Asian people are treated within our media, these things are repeated over and over and over again. Like how J.K. Rowling put that shit up in her work. I'm gonna just start calling her J.K. Ratchet for sure, because she is giving much ratchet behavior at this moment. But one thing about what bothers me the most with J.K. Rowling and her poor portrayal of Asian people within her works is that it's this one ongoing thing I've noticed when it comes to white writers, and they feel as if they are doing people of color a favor by offering to put these people within their works and then proceeds to give them a horrible shit show within the story. Like Eleanor and Park, I will forever drag that book because it was problematic as hell. We finally got a book with a Korean protagonist. Problematic as hell. Not a good book. Don't read that shit, okay? Don't know why we was all obsessed with that book when we were in middle and high school. It did not age well. I don't care if the book is supposed to be dated towards the 80s. It's problematic beyond that. Okay, it's problematic beyond that. I understand things are a product of their time, and if she wanted to explain how things were in the 80s then, she could have, but she should have done more research. I really did not like the portrayal of Park's mother in that book. Y'all need to leave Asian women alone. There's numerous problems within Harry Potter, and racism towards Asian women is one of them. But seeing how so many people got upset with those for calling out Harry Potter for being racist towards Asian people is concerning. No one is trying to ruin your childhood, because you want to know why? The problem was there then. It was always there, alright? Like, can you put your love aside for this series for 10 minutes to see that it has issues? Could you please do that? Be a good ally and do that. It's okay. It's how you grow as a person. I am someone that loves SpongeBob down. Literally one of my favorite shows ever. I watch it all the time, especially when I'm at night getting work done. It's misogynistic as hell. I'll go ahead and tell you like it is, but I can own up to it. So much of what y'all like growing up got problems. And I know people say that we can be overly critical of media, but when it comes to the subject of just straight up racism, it's not being over critical of media, it's just calling it what it is. Like G-Eazy and the Harry Potter series, they didn't see an issue with how they viewed Asian people, specifically Asian women. But just because they didn't see a problem doesn't mean that there isn't one. And there are so many things that we love when we are younger that are just certainly bad for the culture, and we can't defend them. And yes, we say it's a product of its time, but let me be honest. I noticed that a lot of people are trying to use the product of its time excuse for something being ghetto, and hell no, this is what I have to say about that. When G-Eazy dropped Fried Rice, it is when Donald Glover always talked about like his lust for Asian women and what they were doing in the rise of like K-pop just as well. I honestly wrote an article about like the way Donald Glover treats black women, and I wrote it years ago when I had my little internship at Vox ATL. I'll link it down below if you guys are interested in reading it. Wrote that shit when I was 19, so. But moving forward, as I mentioned, that Fried Rice came out around that same time that Donald Glover and all those other weird dudes were like talking about their lust for Asian women. It's a reflection of that time period, because that's how a lot of people were. That's what it was like in the early 2010s. But guess what? Just because it's a product of its time doesn't mean that it's okay. When we say something is a product of its time, we are not defending it because it's bad, but it's also more of a reflection of the nature of that time. And the early 2010s and before that were just very gross towards Asian people, but I feel like a better example of using a product of its time would have to be when we talk about history during the 1900s, when we were talking about, oh, that is how things were at the time. Well, yes, that is how things were at the time, but white people stayed calling black people the N-word and getting away with it. That doesn't mean it was okay. Alright? Do you got that through your brain? You got that through your brain? Alright, goodbye. That's it. I'm done talking.
Now that you see, you should beware of the power of three. They come to fight as fast as they can. They're dangerous yet fabulous. Because the Utonium made them eschew. They are the colors of pink, green, and blue. They'll catch you in the blink of an eye and do it all before bedtime. They coming through and fighting, and everyone they're shocking. You know no one can stop them all because of the chemical X. They coming through and fighting, and everyone they're shocking. You know no one can stop them all because of the chemical X. Girls will just blow your mind. Buttercup like villains 3 at a time. Bubbles will smile while kicking your butt, and Blossom will lead them out of their rut. Cherish and Powerpuff, 2 of a kind. Both wanna save the world before bedtime. From Townsville, Memphis, New York to LA, the Powerpuff Girls are just here to stay.